Do you think you know power? Do you think it only lives in palaces, in boss offices, in the hands of those who command? Michel Foucault laughed at this naivety. For him, power is not a thing. It's not something someone possesses. Power is a relationship, an invisible web that crosses every conversation, every glance, every silence. While you're looking for power up there, it's already down here, inside your head, shaping your desires, defining what you call normal. Foucault discovered something disturbing. The most effective power is the one you don't even notice. The one that doesn't need to force you because it has already convinced you, doesn't need to imprison you because you built your own cage. And the key? You handed it over with a smile. Think about the last post you made on social media. The clothes you chose today, the way you behave at work. How many of these choices were really yours? Or were they invisible whispers telling you how you should be, to be accepted, admired, considered normal? The French philosopher spent his life unearthing these whispers, showing how power operates not through brute force, but through subtle seduction. How it doesn't break you, it rebuilds you, makes you believe that your submission is freedom. If you stay until the end of this journey, you'll discover how Foucault dismantled modernity's greatest illusion. And maybe, just maybe, you'll start to see the strings that move the theater where we all perform, without knowing we're puppets, because the truth about power will disturb you. And that disturbance? It's the first step toward real freedom. Society taught you a beautiful lie, that power is visible, that it sits on thrones, wears uniforms, carries weapons, that freedom means no one is pointing a gun at your head, that democracy means you can vote, that capitalism means you can choose between 30 brands of cereal. This is the myth of sovereign power, the old king's power that Foucault called obsolete. We still think power looks like a medieval monarch, someone who says, do this or die. But while you're watching the throne, the real power has already moved. It doesn't live in castles anymore. It lives in hospitals, in schools, in the apps on your phone. You believe you're free because no one forces you to wake up at 7 in the morning. But have you ever asked why 7 feels natural? Why 8 hours of work feels normal? Why sitting in rows, being quiet, following schedules? Why does all of this feel like the only way things can be? The myth tells you that power is external, that freedom means the absence of chains. But Foucault saw deeper. He realized that modern power doesn't chain your body, it shapes your soul. It doesn't tell you what you cannot do, it whispers what you should want to do. Look around you. Everyone walking the same pace, everyone checking their phones at the same moments, everyone wanting the same things, fearing the same judgments, chasing the same definitions of success. Is this coincidence? Or is this the most sophisticated form of control ever created? The myth of visible power is comfortable because it gives you an enemy to fight. But what happens when the enemy is not a person? Not an institution, but a way of thinking that lives inside your own mind? What happens when the prison guard is you? You are living inside a panopticon, and you don't even know it. Imagine a circular prison where guards can watch every prisoner, but prisoners never know if they're being watched. Eventually, prisoners start policing themselves. They behave as if someone is always watching, even when no one is there. Foucault found this design in an 18th century prison blueprint by Jeremy Bentham. But he realized something chilling. This isn't just a prison architecture. This is how modern life works. Your smartphone is a panopticon. Every click tracked, every pause measured, every emotion analyzed. But here's the twist. You carry it willingly. You pay for it. You feel naked without it. The prison guard isn't watching you anymore. You became the prison guard. Your workplace is a panopticon. Productivity metrics, performance reviews, peer evaluations. You don't need a boss breathing down your neck. You've internalized the boss. You measure yourself against invisible standards, judge your worth by metrics you didn't create, feel guilty for breaks you deserve. Your social media is a panopticon. Every post a performance, every photo calculated, every story curated. You're not sharing your life. You're managing your brand. The audience might not even be there, but you behave as if millions are judging. The spectacle has consumed the spectator. But the most terrifying panopticon is inside your mind. You've learned to monitor your own thoughts, censor your own desires, punish your own deviations from normalcy. You don't need external surveillance anymore. You've become so good at watching yourself that you forgot who you were before you started performing. This is what Foucault called disciplinary power. It doesn't break you like the old kings did. It's more elegant. It makes you break yourself, and then convinces you that this breaking is self-improvement. The cage has become so comfortable that you decorated it and called it home. Michel Foucault spent his life in archives, digging through centuries of forgotten documents. In madhouses, hospitals, prisons. He wasn't looking for the history of power. He was looking for the power of history, how knowledge creates reality, how truth becomes a weapon, how normalcy becomes a prison. In Discipline and Punish, Foucault showed us something revolutionary. He traced how punishment evolved from public spectacles, where kings tortured criminals in town squares, to private correction, where experts rehabilitate deviants in hidden institutions. The shift wasn't toward humanity, it was toward efficiency. Why break someone's body when you can reshape their soul? Why kill a criminal when you can transform them into a productive citizen? The goal isn't destruction anymore, it's optimization. Making people useful, making them normal, making them voluntary participants in their own control. But Foucault's most dangerous insight came in the history of sexuality. He discovered that even our most intimate feelings aren't really ours. For centuries, we've been taught to confess. First to priests, then to doctors, now to therapists, to social media, to anyone who will listen. We think confession liberates us. But Foucault saw the trap. Every time you confess, you're not just revealing truth, you're creating truth. You're turning messy, complex human experience into categories, diagnoses, identities that can be managed, treated, normalized. Your confession becomes data, your intimacy becomes information, your secrets become someone else's knowledge about how to control you. This is biopower, Foucault's term for power over life itself. Not just controlling what you do, but who you are. Not just managing your behavior, but manufacturing your desires. Not just disciplining your body, but administering your entire existence. The most chilling part, you thank them for it. You pay. For therapy. You volunteer information to apps. You rate your own happiness and wonder why you're never satisfied. Stop for a moment, right now, and ask yourself this terrifying question. Who is thinking your thoughts? When you worry about your weight, whose voice is that? When you feel guilty for not being productive enough, whose standards are those? When you scroll through social media and feel inadequate, whose definition of success is measuring you? You think you have preferences, but do you? Or do you have the preferences that algorithms decided you should have, based on data from millions of people who also think they have preferences? You think you know what you want, but have you ever wanted something that wasn't first suggested to you by someone trying to sell it? This is the moment Foucault prepared you for, the moment when you realize that the you think you are might be a construction, a product. A carefully assembled identity made from pieces that were never yours to begin with. Your sexuality isn't just yours. It's been categorized, pathologized, commodified, and sold back to you as liberation. Your mental health isn't just yours. It's been diagnosed, medicated, and turned into content for wellness influencers. Your rebellion isn't just yours. It's been packaged, branded, and marketed as authentic self-expression. Even your resistance has been co-opted. The system doesn't fight your revolution anymore. It sells it to you, makes it trendy, turns your anger into engagement, your dissent into data, your authenticity into advertisement. But here's what Foucault never quite resolved, and what makes this moment so crucial. If everything is constructed, if all knowledge is power, if every truth is someone's strategy for control, then what's left? Is there any way out of the maze, or are we trapped forever in games of power that shift but never end? The answer isn't in escaping power. That's impossible. Power is everywhere because it produces everything, including you. The answer is in understanding the game well enough to play it differently, to create new possibilities, to become dangerous, not through destruction, but through unpredictability. You are not what you think, but you could be what you choose to become. Foucault died in 1984, but he left us a gift more dangerous than any weapon, the ability to see power without masters. To understand that freedom isn't the absence of control, it's the creative transformation of the conditions that try to control you. You cannot step outside power because power is the field where all stepping happens. But you can dance differently. Within it, you can refuse to be the person they expect you to be. Not through dramatic rebellion, the system loves dramatic rebels because it can sell rebellion, but through subtle, persistent refusal to be predictable. Start small. Notice when you're performing instead of being. Notice when you're consuming. Solutions to problems you didn't have until someone convinced you they were problems. Notice when you're optimizing yourself according to metrics that serve others more than they serve you. The goal isn't to become ungovernable. That's just another form of reaction. The goal is to become unpredictable, to create spaces where new ways of being become possible, to remember that before you were trained to be normal, you were something else, something that can still surprise even you. Foucault showed us that knowledge is power, but he also showed us its reverse. Power is knowledge. Every moment you truly see how the game works, you gain the ability to play it differently. Every moment you catch yourself being the person others want you to be, you create space to become the person you might choose to be instead. This isn't comfortable wisdom. It's not a self-help solution or a life hack. It's an invitation to permanent discomfort, the discomfort of never quite fitting into the categories that want to contain you. If this burned something inside you, don't let it fade. Share it. Someone else is still sleepwalking through their own surveillance, still volunteering for their own imprisonment, still calling their conditioning choice. They need this discomfort too, because the most radical act in a world of manufactured consent isn't revolution, it's waking up and staying awake.